All right, what is up, everybody? So, I apologize for being a little bit late. Um, had to get some stuff done, but it'd be like that. So, let me go ahead and check everything, make sure that we are good to go. Frames are good. That is always a good sign. So, I am glad to be back after um what feels like almost a month of no streaming due to the holidays, obviously. That and the kind of drought of events, it kind of made a little bit of sense to go ahead and take advantage of that, um, to you know just take a break. Also, you develop a crippling addiction to PoE too. So we really min maxed that time away for sure. 2025 is the year of the Crawford. Well, we're gonna see. We're off to a good start. Um, what's up, Hank? Good to see you. Um, yeah, it feels good to be back. We're gonna do a little bit of a recap of the most recent event that ended up going pretty well, and we are also going to do first initial analysis of the the hunted, I keep saying haunted, the hunted spoilers that have already been released, because I think we now have enough to actually talk about something. I'm not a big fan of discussing heroes and things like that without seeing the weapons. I think that the weapons in the most recent sets is historically the most significant thing, um, that you know is the most important piece. I would argue almost as important as the hero ability itself. Um, kind of getting the idea of like how important blues are new. Imagine if we didn't have Mistblade, right? Not knowing which direction, how many blues she would have access to, and that can kind of be your tail on a lot of the cards that could possibly be coming out or on the horizon. So we are going to discuss that as well. We're just going to go through everything that's been released. I'm going to be giving my initial thoughts, and we're just going to do run simple analysis, do some speculation, even. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started on the Battle Harden recap. Uh, so it's no secret that we landed second at the Battle Harden in Atlanta, and super happy about the performance. And as much as I would love to say that I took a month off streaming, I went into the dojo, ate a couple sensu beans, and really, just like just went into the lab and really got something done, or put a lot of work into it. Actually, quite the opposite happened. I don't think I played a single game of Flesh and Blood proceed for a month preceding that event. Uh, Literally, not a single game of Flesh and Blood, and that's just the truth. That's just the fact of the matter. Now, we also did not take an original list. I went to the Atlanta Battle Hardened event because it was close. The meta is a little stale for my liking. I wouldn't travel too far for it. I would go to a calling 100% in the U.S. Just because But a Battle Hardened, I kind of have restrictions on how far I'm willing to travel for those. I'm no Brody and Michael going to all of these. I'll leave that to them. And so we decided we were going to go. I looked up a deck list 2 days before the event. I saw a winning Zen deck list. I think it was Nick Butcher's, and we said, "All right, we'll play this." Didn't play a single game on it until round 1. And our matchups were round 1, we played against a new. And that was definitely it was quite the learning curve. I've played a lot against new, obviously. However, it was a little bit of a learning curve in I think it was my biggest weakness for the weekend. I played a lot of them and I won a lot of them. However, it was the biggest area of improvement by far that I could have had that actual reps on the deck would have really benefited me. And I fell into the habit of always playing into value. So I would establish a lead and just play value instead of just push the initiative, which is the correct thing to do now that we know that. But played against Sam, who I actually played in the PTI event the day after. I won the Battle Hardened one and lost the PTI one. So GG Sam for both games. And yeah, Snag is one hell of a card. That's for sure. And then round two, we played against an Azalea, which was none other than teammate William Bradshaw. And we went first and we opened with a Warmonger's Diplomacy into a Transcend. So off to a great start. Uh, he threw some red in the ledgers and played some codexes, but I think that start was just a little too much. We blocked with Hat on a turn that he didn't have a red in the ledger, and we just kind of did like a double chase the tail. And it was definitely um, enough to get there. And if anybody wants to know how to play the list, it's actually a rather simple list to play. To be honest, every time you draw a hand, you just say, how can I play Chase the Tail? And you get that done. And when you play Chase the Tail for full value, you kind of win those games. And when you don't, it's a little bit harder, but you can still get there. And then we played against Donnie, a member of the Siblings in Cardboard. Did a podcast with those guys over there. Check out the channel there. We ended up drawing this one. Donnie, no feels bad for that. 100% all right. It was kind of like a miscommunication on the on like when you could concede, and the judge was there. Donnie kind of had the intentions because I had full tempo and there was just a couple cards in deck, so it was kind of a matter of time kind of situation. But I think he had the intention to concede, but the judge did not let him. But Donnie, it's all good. It's all good, brother. And yeah, so we ended up taking that hit. Donnie was on new, played it amazing, understood when he needed to be blocking, when he needed to not be blocking. I think there was just a couple spots where I got a little lucky where he would look into my hand, see a snag, and then have to like block with Justin Nix and stuff like that. So I had some definitely favorable positions in that one for sure. And then we played against Michael Parker, which was on, let me look, round 4, was on Jarl. And this was an interesting one. It was actually a very interesting game because I thought the matchup would be a lot more comfortable than it actually was. I've been around a lot of Jarl testing. I haven't been engaging with it myself. However, I've been aware of like what they're running and Frost Fangs and Pummels and things like that. Obviously, the good cards. And with that being said, it was tough. It was to Oakenold, Mangle with Dominate off of a Crumble. I mean, just so many different things. It could push a lot more damage than I thought it could. And it got a little scary for a little bit, but we were able to. It was actually very funny. There was a situation where I was getting Frostfang pummeled, and I think I ended up double transcending one of them being Jade Tiger Domain. And we put the tigers in our hand and we paid the Frostfang with the 2 resources we got from the chess piece from double transcending. And then we discarded a tiger from the the actual pummel trigger. So we were basically able to just eat it all and not really slow us down and then keep on that gas. So MST is they've made some broken sets, or they've made some broken cards for sure. So then we played against Zach Phillips, also known as Agroblaze 96. Also a fellow streamer in the Fab community. Go check his stuff out as well. And always a pleasure of playing him. I think I've played him twice now, and every time it's just super friendly. And he was on Aurora, and I think it was a pretty cookie cutter game. I think I pulled off a double chase the tail, and then that would make me kind of mad in the moment. Yeah, it was pretty good, Marcus. It was pretty good. We take those. But I think I did a double chase the tail, took an early lead in that matchup, and then he actually made it a lot closer in the end. Kind of as to be expected, when they had their the problem was I think I was able to deny the value from the only CLV that was played. If one was I think one was played, and I don't think there was a draw trigger because I was on the wax on, wax off package. So we had plenty of D reacts. There's like a strike draw card, and I just block with a red wax on for 5. It just feels amazing in that matchup. So we were able to deny the on hits when they matter, let them through when they don't, push the aggression with the traverse the universe, and we were able to get there. And then we played the next round. We played Jeremy Chin, which, if I'm not mistaken, won the last Atlanta Battle Hardened. Then he was playing Dromai. Now he was playing Enigma. And for those of you who don't know, that matchup is not as comfortable as it used to be. As the Zindex have gone a little bit more mid-rangey, kind of defensive oriented or kind of value oriented, our ability to keep on aggression every single turn, I'm not going to say it's extremely difficult, but it's a lot more difficult than it used to be. Therefore, the matchup is still favored in my opinion, but it can't be higher than 60-40. Jeremy was able to resolve 10k against me and swing it the turn it was played via Mage Master Boots. Literally, it was pitch a blue, spec Manny, 10 used the one floating resource to pay for Mage Master Boots, or he swung the spectral shield that he made for 4. Used the one floating to pay for Mage Master Boots, 10k, paying the cost with 3+1 counters on the spectral shield, popping down ward 10, and then use Tunic counter to swing it because it had go again from the Mage Master Boots. Literally a 3 card, and the ward 10 ended up blocking for I think 5, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 3 card 19. It was the first time I ever saw that play. Absolutely unbelievable, and we still found a way to get there once again with the double chase the tail. You'll notice a theme. Anytime you can do double chase the tail in one turn, pretty good. Which is actually a lot easier than you would think with aspect of tiger body. Being able to make those extra crouching tigers, it's a lot easier than you would think. But Jeremy's a local to the Atlanta area, amazing player. And then we ended up taking that one down. And then Joel Thomas on New, also a semi-local player. Really, really close game. Came down. It was a win and in for me because I had the draw. And it was super close. It came down to literally like my last 7 cards, and we got there on breakpoints. Chip damage by kind of dividing it all out. We were able to Tiger Form incantation for 1, then find another tiger off of a fail to find, and then Kakara into it. So we could go 1, 2, 1. It was enough to like strip most of the cards and then make it where you can't do anything, and then do it again. And we were able to fatigue once we got him down to 1. So we take that down, and then we go into top 8. And then we have to play against Miko. Super, super friendly player from the Philippines. and he was just on. I think he just said he was visiting the states and stopped by the Battle Hardened. So glad that uh, he was able to actually make it while he was visiting, and made it count too. He ended up making top 8 with Ira and did an amazing job playing it. He was a little nervous, understandably, right? But played absolutely amazingly well, and we were just able to have one good enough explosive turn to really just push the initiative. I think he got a couple weakest links off, but it was just so happened to be while I didn't have anything in my hand that didn't block. So we were able to just eat it and then keep pushing, which is exactly where we want to be. And yeah, you definitely want to be careful on what you are arsenal D reacts in that matchup specifically when you're on the Zen side. Also, CNC really, obviously CNC is good, but it's super overperformed this weekend. There's so many D reacts in the format. There were several times where I'd play it and they'd have like 3 D reacts in their hand. They have to take it, and you just get so much value from it right now. And then we played Andrew Lorenz, which was on Viserai. We never had an opportunity to really. This was the top 4 match. We never really had an opportunity to extract any value from the Zen State token. Andrew is a very good player and realized that he needed to basically stack the rune chance and then basically put me on having double transcend and basically front loading the rune chance before you attack so that way traverse isn't a way to get um, a very valuable Zen state, right? And it played very well. I even got hit by brutal succumb, but we were able to claw back because I do believe that that matchup is pretty favorable for Zen, just on the basis of value. You have a lot of blues. You can be aggressive. It's kind of your game to lose in that matchup. It really asked the Viscera to do a lot of things right, and they can just brick and kind of not be able to do it. And so we ended up taking that one down. And then that lands us in the finals against Naib. I am a huge fan of Naib. Amazing guy, even better player. And well, I don't know if he's a better player than he is a better guy, but he's just an amazing human being. And congratulations to Naib on taking it down. Uh, I would love to say how close of a game it was, but I got absolutely demolished. I did not draw a Transcend card until the turn that I died. So yeah, it was just the hat got no value. Like it was just one of those. We've all played those Zen games where you just cannot transcend and you're just playing really bad Katsu kind of situation. And yeah, so he ended up taking it down. Congratulations to Naib. He was also on a more interesting list by far. He played Tooth and Claw, and I was like, really? That card? But it worked good. He said he ran like 1 or 2 of them just for the boots. And anytime he drew it, he blocked with the boots, and it's Scar for Scar that blocks 3. And I was like, Naib, that makes sense. Naib's one of my favorite deck builders in Fab. He always comes up with some very creative stuff. A lot of the stuff is off the wall, but man, does it stick. It I mean, he's just really good at what he does. And of course, he's a really strong player to back it up, which is a very, very lethal combination in the game of Flesh and Blood. So congratulations, Naive, for taking it down. I'm not gonna go into too much I'm not going to go too much into the PTI event. We had a much lesser day the next day, but that was mainly the new matchups. I lost 2 new matchups. I think I definitely could have won, and it was what I mentioned earlier, where I established an early lead, and I stuck to playing value, which now that I think about it, was just so wrong. I should have pushed the initiative and just said no blocks and just kept going unless it was absolutely necessary. And it just is, it just is what it is. So we learned a lot from that event for sure. I did want to mention one person from the PTI event, and that was my first match at the PTI event. I played against Stephen Powell, and I just want to say, Stephen, never change, never change. That was one of the most fun matches of Flesh and Blood I've ever played. Um, he was excited to be there. He was playing Levia. I mean, and when I say playing, I mean having an absolute blast. He was having the most fun in the room, I guarantee you. And it was contagious. I was having a blast. We were having fun just flipping cards over for the banishes and doing it different way. It was a true pleasure to play that game. So thank you, Steven, for that game. That was an absolute blast of a game. Yeah, and we ended up we just for the matchup spread on the PTI event, we played like 4 news. There was so much new at that event. It was absolutely wild. Um, which I'm not complaining. Zen, it's not like the matchup you probably want to see. I guess with the wax on, wax off package like I have, it's not. It probably is something you kind of want to see. But without the reps, it was kind of scary. If I would have came in more prepared, I don't think I would have. I wouldn't have done any better in the Battle Hardened, but I would have done a lot better in the PTI event. Did you touch upon the ratios/card choices on your list? Didn't catch the beginning of the stream. Oh, well, you missed that I put absolutely no work into the list. That is what happened. Unfortunately, I went to the fabtcg website and I went to winning deck list and I found the first Zen one and I said I'm going to play that. And that's what we did. We didn't play a single game until round 1 on the deck, no reps, and we just did it. And we did it. We got a PTI. So um that's what we did. I do not recommend that strategy. That is not I don't think that's a winning strategy. However, when you've developed strong fundamentals of Flesh and Blood over the past 3.5 years, you can get away with that every once in a while. But once again, I do not recommend it uh, for a sustainable strategy. But had an absolute blast for the people that came. I was kind of shocked that we got about 120 at the Battle Harden during this time of year. It was so close to the holidays, and I was really expecting a lot less, especially with the meta being a little bit on the stealth side, or maybe stealth's not the right word, but solved, really, really solved. So I'm really looking forward to the Hunted coming in and shaking things up, and that's why what we're gonna hop into next is seemed like you ran Nick Butcher's list. Yes, I believe it was. I've been following him since olden days. Get that bill. Yep. I believe it was his. I think it was whatever list won the calling. that I could tell you. But I think Nick won the calling, so that would make sense. 1 + 1 = 2. Who knew? So yes, I think that is the list that I played. I had a buddy at the Battle Hardened walk up to me and ask me how much AB I ran, and I was like, I don't really know. I was like, I'm just looking at the cards as I go, and every hand was a new surprise. And yeah, that's how it went. It was a blast. Had a lot of fun. The deck blocked really, really well. The blue Key Unleashed was absolutely phenomenal. Just make sure you side those out against new because that card hurts when it comes back at you. Uh, so just, but it's a great anti-fatigue tool. Also, in the semifinals against Viscerai, I was able to go Tiger into Blue Key Unleashed, and I Pathwell traveled it, and then transcended and kept going. Um, and it came in for 5, like 5 off of a blue. It's pretty good. It's pretty good to be honest. And it helps trigger Shuko. I mean, just a ton of things. So I was really happy with the Blue Key Unleash. Unfortunately, over half my games they were sided out because I was playing against new. So I didn't get to play it as much as I would have liked. Battle Hardened Atlanta recap. William throwing an arrow at me for 18 damage. That sounds about right. He definitely threw a couple at me in round 2. So, but it was an absolute blast. Had a good time. We secured our PTI, so we will 100% be at the World Championship in the US later this year. So glad to get that done. Okay, let's go ahead and put an end to the recap. If anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy to answer. Is Aurora still good? Congrats. Thank you. Aurora is still good. I personally, that was my choice number 2. I was a little worried about Jarl showing up, to be honest, and Jarl kind of did. I actually believe there was more Jarl at that tournament than Enigma, believe it or not. But Aurora is very good. You you have to play it tip top, and the only thing that I would complain about is there's a lot of erase face, weakest links, and CNCs, and that's not something that Aurora really, really loves to run into. Uh, so could you one day do a lesson on net decking and figuring out sideboard without notes? I've been struggling with that Nick Butcher list without a sideboard. You know what? I'm gonna do you one better. I'll do it after we talk about the hunted. I I think that is such a good question because it was a bit of a doozy. I had to talk to some people, get some, you know, some good advice and some bad advice and kind of cipher through it. And I'm going to show you how I reverse engineered the list. And I don't even know if I did it right. I mean, I did it good enough, but I don't know if I did it 100% right. I don't know if it's what Nick is doing. Um, but I will do that directly after we talk about the hunted spoils. So stick around. If you can't stick around, check it out on the VOD, and I will spend, 10, 15 minutes going over how I kind of how I broke it down. And I tell you what, since you're here, I'll just go ahead and do it real quick. I'm here to give the people what they want. That's why I'm here. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do it right now. Because it shouldn't take too terribly long. I wouldn't imagine. Okay. There was a whole bunch of new. So I'm about to break down how I reverse engineered it right now. Nathan, congrats on the top 8. I really do appreciate it. What do you think of Ira? Ira was so much more of a scary matchup than I thought it would be. I think Ira is the real deal. I think there's some deck choices that you have to make in Ira that's going to say you are better into X versus X. I think that's the biggest thing hurting her right now. Once some of those choices consolidate, aka some of the MST heroes leave the format, then she is going to be an all-star. I guarantee it. I want lecture on why Kasai is the best deck ever. That you're not going to get because it's false. Kasai is so bad right now. Oh man. Did you expect as many new as there was? There were so many. I went in blind. I didn't do the recon I normally do. I just showed up to have a good time, and boy, did we. So let's hop over to the list. And I'm going to answer the question that was asked. So, 2 days before the event, I downloaded this or copied whatever was on um the the fabtcg, and oh no, what did I remove? I removed a snag. Snag. Where did I put? Oh, I just put. Okay, that's what we want to do. Okay, so when we added the deck, this is what it looked like, right? We had everything in one giant pile, and we need to figure out what was happening, right? So this is what we ended up doing. This is how we kind of filtered through it. Snag is main deck. I did not know that, and it was not for me. So that's something that was already off. Okay, so this is what we did. We opened the list, and then first, immediately, there's a couple of cards that are very easily sideboard potential that a lot of people are going to kind of just gravitate toward. Snag being one of them, right? And then obviously the 14 and a half copies of Wax On are easy cards to just look at and identify as those are probably in the sideboard, right? This serves a very specific purpose against new. Also, it's kind of cheeky into Florian, but probably not where you want to be. And because it stops the plus on Plow Under and Felling. And so then I went, okay, we're still 5 cards over. And most lists operate under the 60 threshold. So we actually have a lot more here than we initially have. And I was like, I was looking at the list, and my eyes went straight to Wax Off. Like, is this all an entire package? The Wax Off, the Wax On. And initially I was like, no, because you can transcend off Wax Off. It's not the worst thing on the planet. So I said, no. I said, this is probably main deck. That's not where I ended. I'm just going through my entire thought process. Then I went up to my blue count and noticed that 35 is way too many. I think the sweet spot is about 30, plus or minus 2. And so we needed to cut 3. So I ended up cutting the Warmongers because that's not going to be good into every single matchup. And we're almost there as far as blues go. In fact, we're exactly 3 off. So I said, what 3 of in this deck is the worst? This is a 3 block. This is a 3 block. This is a 2 block. So he's high on the list now. But Cosmic Awakening, what's better? Cosmic Awakening or Wax Off? And I think because Cosmic Awakening blocks 3, I think that is the better default card. Oh, okay. Okay. You meant when I lost it. Thank you. Okay. So I ended up getting to the conclusion that Wax Off was probably in the sideboard. Okay. So now we're at a clean 60. This is decent spot to be. We have 30 blues, mission accomplished. Now, there's one more important piece here. We're probably not running Weakest Link into every single matchup, right? CNC is good enough to be a main deck card, but there's a lot of cards that Weakest Link just does not apply to. Everything else serves a default purpose. These all need to be transcended off of, or they're just the part of the value engine. So then I went to Weakest Link. Okay, so this was where I ended up landing. And of course, Tide Flippers was in. The equipment was super easy because there's literally only one that's in the sideboard. So this is where we ended up landing. So now I need to do I have to basically say, okay, if this is correct, why is it correct? Because you can't just think you're correct. You have to actually go through a due process to figure out if it all makes sense. So I was like, okay, why are there so many blue cards in the sideboard? And I was like, okay, maybe it's for the new matchup because we know there's a lot of new, and we're trying to sideboard out a lot of the blues in lieu of other things. So then I went to the blue base and I said, what in the blue base is a liability? Levels of Enlightenment. Key Unleashed is the best card probably that New could play other than Levels, because she's going to be able to play either Tiger Form Incantation or Harmony of the Hunt. She will be able to make a Spectral Tiger, right? Or not a Spectral Tiger, a Crouching Tiger. So she's going to be able to combo the card, right? So it's literally going to just be 5 damage thrown at you, and you do not want that. So against New, you side out those 6 blues, you put in these 6 blues, and then you can swap out Wind Chakra and 1 Pouncing Key, which is your next closest offender, and for your Warmonger's Diplomacy. And then, so that explains the heavy blue basis in the sideboarding. Okay, well, what would you do in a situation where you need to bring a lot of these in? And then, so giving the example of New, what I did was I put in every one of these cards, all of these cards, and then took out what I explained in the blue base and ran 66 is what I did into New. And then let's say Aurora, where you don't want a fat deck, right? It's very bad to do so. What I did was I tried to cut down on the kind of liabilities in the form of like 2 blocks and things of that nature. So against Aurora, what I ended up doing was I put in the wax on, wax off package and took out 100 wins. Just because it blocked 2, sending 3 is not exactly where you want to be. But Harmony of the Hunt is an absolutely juiced card. And so we're really just trying to reduce the amount of 2 blocks. And then we also added, what was it? I think we swapped. No, we didn't touch Harmony. We put in Weakest Link, and then also took out one more thing. I think it was Key Unleashed, if I'm not mistaken. Just because the game's not going to go that long, so we ended up putting these 9 in and took 6 out, being these and these. Wasn't too confident into that strategy, but that's what we ended up doing. Also, Growl is just too much of an all-star. I wanted to cut it in that matchup because it blocks 2, but it's just too good. It's literally a 0 for 4 half the time. Okay, and then from there, Cosmo is just a 3-block blue. Definitely could have taken that out as well over the Kia. I think that's actually what I did. I think you're right. I took out the Cosmic and put in the Weakest Links. I think I did 1 Key Unleashed and 2 Cosmic. Against Aurora, only the wax on and not the wax off. That is correct. That is correct. Making a Zen state against Aurora is fine, but putting in a 2 block is worse. I did not like putting in a 2 block. I think the only thing that we put in wax off into that we actively can make a Zen state against would be Dio and New, basically. Is kind of where I'm at. So that was kind of my thought process on sideboarding the list with absolutely no information from the creator. It's probably not correct, but it's kind of just where I landed with it. And kind of where I did my... Also, if I brought in the reds, it does not necessarily mean I brought in the yellows. A lot of the matchups that I just wanted to be defensively oriented, but not go all in on it, like I didn't play it in the mirror. I just threw in the Weakest Link, called it a day for the mirror. There was one match, Azalea Azalea, I just took the main, I swapped Cosmic for Warmongers and then threw in Red Wax on. Called it a day. I wasn't trying to go super defensive, just, you know, just a couple extra D-reacts. But this card really just overperformed. I blocked so many E-strikes for 5 with this card, it was absolutely insane. But overall, but believe it or not, other than Chase the Tail, obviously, it's just the best card in the deck. The best card that actually performed in the list was Harmony of the Hunt. It made so many 2-card hands actually functional, like actually function, and it allowed this card to be played so smoothly. As long as I could transcend, or if I was attempting to double chase the tail, because what you can do is if you have the cheat card off of your traverse, you can harmony, and then you can you get the second tiger off of your chi, and then you can pop your boots and fit it all into one blue pitch, because you can play harmony and 2 chase the tails, literally off of like a 4-card hand. It is literally insane. And it triggers Shuko. You have 3 tigers because the hero ability, harmony, and the boots. The boots were really good. They were actually insane, believe it or not. And yeah, it really did. It did well. So I hope that kind of helped you on like how I kind of broke it down. But I just looked for something that didn't that served a very specific purpose, removed it, and then basically looked at my justification on if it was correct. Because I looked at this for a second and I was like, hold up. This is a lot of blue cards in the sideboard, which is typically not the way people do sideboarding. But when it's very new heavy, you need to swap out a bunch of blues. It makes a lot of sense. Now, how would you say newer players go about discerning main between inventory when they can't identify cards that are obviously inventory cards? I mean, there's no like quick secret, right? There just isn't. There's no like formulaic method that you could utilize to say, okay, that's how I know wax on is. I mean, one thing that you could do, you go to the stats page and look for the smallest numbers on the types, right? So what we could do is we could say, what do we have the least amount, right? So we need to include sideboard, right? So defense reactions, there's only 9 of them, okay? So I would start there. I would start with the non-attacks, maybe the instance card, but instance is obvious, right? That's a very integral part of Zen strategy. But snag is not. So snag needs to prove why it is there, right? Whereas when you get into the actions, so I guess look at the stats page and say, what is an outlier, right? And then so you could say, attack powers, there's only a few 6s. Why? Right? Everything has a very low cost curve. We're all the way down here. Why do we have a couple 6s? Let's go read the 6s. Oh, does everybody run no blocks? No, let's take Weak Slink out. So the best thing I would recommend is somebody with very little game knowledge to go to the stats page and look for things that are against the grain of the average things the deck has, right? This deck is all attack and action cards, but yet we have defense reactions. Maybe they're not integral to the strategy of the deck. Whereas if we looked at an Ira deck that had 15 D reacts, okay, maybe that's an integral part of her strategy. And that's how we identify it. What up, Kyle? Also, Kyle has set up subscriptions for the YouTube stream. He's also working on uh, emotes specifically for it. So if you are interested in supporting the channel, we are doing our absolute best to make that available to all of you. Definitely not required, but 100% definitely appreciated. Also, do you think New showing at the Battle Hard in Atlanta was an outlier? Or do you think New is going to be popular going forward? I think New's an MST hero, so she's going to be popular. I think it's that simple. I would definitely run Weakest Link into Enigma. My strategy into Enigma was literally the main 57 and then throw in Weakest Link. That was my Enigma strategy. Right? Because once again, is we need to be as aggressive as we can in that matchup. Are any of these cards aggressive? No, they're not. So we put in Weakest Link and we go. Simple as that. And it literally won me the game against Jeremy. 100%. I ended 2 chains on it. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I hoped that helped out anybody that is playing this for what's coming up is RTN season. That's thinking about playing this in RTN season. I'm not saying that this is the way Nick sideboarded. This is just I had like a couple hours to think about it. This is what I came up with. This is what made sense in my head, and this is what we ran with. Simple as that. Not saying it's what he's doing. I'm not trying to sell his sideboard guy or anything like that. It's just this is what I pieced together. Don't take it as absolute correct, but it was good enough. Apparently, it was good enough. So let's go ahead and also shout out to Andrew. He's been doing good lately on Prism. He's been killing it. Also Justin killing on Viscera. Proud of that shit. Okay. Let's go ahead. Josh Lau rarely mentioned Fang. Does he hate him? So how many people were in Atlanta? About 120. We barely missed 8 rounds. Barely. About 120. It was more than I expected, to be honest, being so close to the holidays. Also the time of year. It's really cold. Not so much in Atlanta, but although that weekend it was cold. Thank you. The process of learning how to grab a deck and learn it is something I always struggle with, and that helped. I appreciate it. Toronto this weekend sold out 224. That's sick. And Metal said it's not sold out, so it can keep going. 224. I guess everybody's not going to a wedding this time. With 224 people going. That's sick, though, for a Battle Hardened. I want to say that the record for a standalone Battle Hardened is about 250. I hope Canada can break it. That would be sick. That would be excited to see. And I'm excited to check out the coverage. I very quickly, once I arrived at the venue, understood why there was no coverage for the Atlanta Battle Hardened. There was not a place that Ethan could have set up at. Literally. Star City Games used up every single inch of that facility. Literally. I scanned the room and I was like, if Ethan was here, where could he be? And the answer was there was no place that he could have set up his. And he doesn't even take up that much space. And there was literally just nowhere he could have put it. I'm assuming that's the reason. But standalone 226. Well, hopefully they break it. Yeah, there was a ton of people there. A absolute ton. There were a lot of Flesh and Blood players that were playing Magic. Um, so I think if it wasn't as big of an event going on, maybe we would have had even more. To be honest, we should have done a radio stream like the old baseball day. You know, that actually sounds kind of sick. It really does. That actually sounds cool. A radio broadcast of the of the game. Oh man, he flipped over the sink below. They can't break the record. They won't go past 224 because it'll be 9 rounds. I mean, you know, just start it earlier. Not like you could change it now, but you know. All right, let's go ahead and dig into the spoilers. Now, this is I'm going to be 100% honest here. I have spent very, very little time looking at these cards because, and it's very intentional, because I do not like looking at things in a vacuum. I think that the context around them is very, very important. Like, there is no point in reading this card and trying to make a logical analysis of it if you do not know what an agent of chaos is. Right? It's literally that simple. And so I was waiting for all of this to be released before I started talking about it and making estimates or just overall analysis. My God, did that rabble reveal a Gorgadian toe? I did that on a stream once. They can't break the record. Yep. Had a good time playing Arachne in Atlanta right before it gets more support. Hey, you'll be rewarded. Hopefully. Hopefully. Are you excited for Warcry of Blood? Let's start with the expansion slot cards. Target rating is +2 this turn. 0 cost yellow reaction blocks 3. Instant discard this, banish X cards from your soul. Okay, the next time target weapon deals X or less damage. Okay, so you have to deal that much or less. Deal that much damage to its controller, and that damage can't be prevented. Okay. So, this is a tough one. Let's do it again. Discard this. Banish, say 2 cards. Okay. The next time target weapon deals 2 or less damage. Okay. So this card sucks if they full block. No, it's good if they full block. It's bad if they don't block. Right? Because if Raiden is at 4 and you say no blocks, you banish 2 cards, pump it to, well, it goes to 6, right? And you need it to deal 2 or less damage, depending on how many cards that go to soul. Okay, so this is very good if people are blocking you. Which in the meta currently is pretty good for Bolton, I would say. There's also some shenanigans that can happen with Enigma, right? Obviously, there is some play that Enigma will have into it, right? They can block in a very specific way, and then they get a reaction window, and they can make it where, you know, you have to pick your soul before they act, right? And then once you pick your soul, um, they get, you know, X or less damage to you this turn. Holy shit. Wait, what? Chat. Okay, you don't get both. I understand now. Okay. I was trying to thank you, Michael. Dalton, you saved me. You saved me, bro. I was trying to put both together. I was like, +2 on your turn, and then damn it. Okay. It's it's like the Rune Blade block card where you can either block with it or instant it out and get a rune chant kind of thing. Okay. I'm tracking. I'm tracking. Okay. So Enigma attacks for X or less, but they have a way where so if you banish 2, they can like etchings it higher to where it doesn't do anything, basically. That's the game plan. Which means that Enigma just needs to attack with it actually creates a neat little mind game of like how you have to know how much soul they have and whatnot. So it's I think it's a very well designed card. Just more confirmation. I mean, nobody reads Bolton card. Oh man, the Blade Flurry. Yeah, on a limited turn. Yeah, I think this is a very versatile card that's well designed. I don't think it's like overpowered by any means. I also find it hilarious that they're still scared of Lumina, although the combo deck is complete ass right now. Because every card they print has to be played with Raiden. So pretty funny there. But I would say solid card. Is it gonna save Bolton? No. Now this card. Let's talk about this card. Holy shit. This card. One, it's this card will break LL. Okay. Chain will be the best deck. It's not even a question. First. That let's just set that there. This card in Vinset. Just read the card, but I know this card. 0 cost, block 3, like always. Action without go again, but has blood debt. You may play this from your banish zone, right? And then it has the funeral moon text where if a hero has lost life, which is very easy to turn on in Vinset, each hero banishes a card from their hand. There are so many different things that you can do with this card. It's an amazing one card play, right? You can trade this card for a card out of your opponent's hand. However, it's kind of even value, but in the very fast matchups is kind of what Vinny wants to be doing. She wants to be shrinking the hand size. Until she gets the hand where she doesn't want to be shrinking the hand size. And it gives her fuel. You can't, but like I said, you could just do it on a 1 card hand where you just make a rune chant, make them banish. If you're in an emergency to gain tempo, you use it for fuel to get more rune gate, which, to be honest, in my most recent version of Vinset, that was the biggest issue. I was leaning on less optimal cards like Ebonfold to literally just find more ways to get cards into banish because I found myself having to work a little too hard to have the widespread cards fill that kind of void. So this is so easy. You get to pick the card. All it has to be is in your hand. You can hover this card over your opponent. Just keep it as a, am I going to play it? Am I going to play it? Make them play a certain way. There's just so many different things you can do with this card. It is unbelievable. And if you do play it while you have a Runegate card, it is literally, if you hit this off of a widespread destruction, oh my god. What's the one off the top of the deck? Widespread ruin. Holy shit. It's just a free card. It's like a CNC that just hit. It is absolutely wild. Just rip a card. It's insane. This card is literally phenomenal. Like somebody said in chat, could possibly be one of the best cards in the set. If you were not a Vinny believer after this card, if the meta is conducive, right? There are some things that are going to have to be worked out. But Vinny's going to be a player in the next meta. I can guarantee it. It's just this card does so much. It does so much. Ring of Roses is an amazing card, right? First, it just stays on the board. First time you do arcane damage each turn, deal damage, right? I'm gonna say something. First of all, the art is amazing. Holy shit! Of course, it's Smart Pool, but amazing art. However, I hope nobody takes offense to this. I do not like the design of this card. I don't think introducing one of legendary cards that go in the 60 card deck that like, oh, I found it, so I win, or I didn't find it, so I lose. I'm not a huge fan of the design of this card. It's a good card. Is it going to immediately put Verdance on the map? It can't. It literally can't because it's a one-up. Is it going to make her better? Of course it's going to make it better. It's a Earth card that blocks 3. It damn sure isn't going to hurt her. But I'm not a huge fan of the design on this one. That whole one of in the 60 card deck is giving like Floodgate kind of Yu-Gi-Oh vibes where, you know, oh, I got the card, so I win, or, you know, you don't have, you know what I mean. So it's obviously good. She'll play it. It'll be in every Verdance deck. Easy peasy. Spurlocked. I've read this card several times, and it, first off, LSS did a great job portraying Brody. It's awesome. They put the sandwich in there. It's hilarious. Amazingly well done by LSS. The art and the whole celebrational, and then making a card that they quote unquote designed. Just amazing opportunity for Brody. Congratulations, Brody, if you see this. Congratulations to you. And this is just awesome. From a playability perspective, not so much. It's really cool. It is really cool. But I don't see the competitive viability in this one. Simple as that. Currently. This feels like a must include that's just going to bring feel bad moments for players and how the game plays. Exactly. Well said, Brian. Honestly, I hate legendary cards. Yep, I feel the exact same way. It should come into play when you decompose like Spirit does from Holden. I mean, it just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of one-ofs. I just think it's that type of variance that just nothing good comes of it. Like, I don't know. Obviously, we know why this card doesn't allow 3. If you had 3 of these in your deck, Furnace would literally be broken. Chain Reaction. Talk about a little bit of Riptide. Not necessarily Riptide, but he'll be in the back of our mind as we read it. Yellow, 0/3. When this defends an attack with Go Again, so collapsing trap text, you may play a non-attack action card in your arsenal face up. If you do, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant. Okay. So when I read this card, my brain immediately went to you can codex on your opponent's turn. And also somebody mentioned like in chat 3 of a kind, although that is so bad. I would never run a card like 3 of a kind to be a support mechanism into chain reaction. I would codex the shit out of somebody in the middle of their turn, though. That seems really good. Doesn't matter which codex, all of them are good with this card. Just, give them inertia at the end of their turn, just so many different things that you can do. Blood Rot, obviously, really good too. If they had any intentions on Blood Rot, yeah, there's just so many possibilities that you can. Ice Lexi loves this card. Yeah, in LL for sure. For sure. Enchanted Quiver. It is what it is, right? Prevent the next one arcane damage that would be dealt to you this turn. If there's a face-up arrow in your arsenal, instead prevent the next 2. It is Spell Void on the Quiver. I think this will definitely see play. I don't know if it's worth a whole sideboard slot, although being in the Quiver, it's pretty good. So we could see a situation where Crow's Nest is just gone. Like it just doesn't do enough. And then this just sits there in all matchups, right? And you just get a little bit of value. Yeah, you could play Mongers, but Mongers says your opponent's next turn. So that does not work. If they choose war, the only action cards they may play during their next turn. So if you instant speed Diplomacy, it doesn't even work that turn. So there's no actual. The only benefit of instant speeding the Diplomacy is you don't lose your action point and you get to look at the hand you're actively affecting, which is a benefit, but it's not any better as far as the part that applies to them. So yeah, I think this Quiver will be played. I think every deck building decision from now on, the Rangers will just say, is the Quiver good enough to keep? If it's not, this will probably just be the default where you'll run it into everything and save on sideboard slots. Retrace the Past, right? Underwhelming Gust Wave. Let's see. Blue, 0 cost, block 3. So we're talking, Dishonor, stat line. Katsu Specialization combo. When this attacks, if a card with Gust Wave in its name was the last attack this combat chain, name a card. Then this gets that name +2 and go again. So this is the Bonds replacement. You name Bonds of Ancestry and then allow you to continue on and actually play and resolve Dishonor, which is really, I'm not sure if that's true. Icelander love Diplomacy. Yeah, it's a solid interaction, but it's not like I wouldn't run that card to do that. Like you know what I'm saying? But yes, it is a combination that works that does have a benefit. That is correct. When this attacks, if a card with Gust Wave in its name, yeah, so it's a Bonds replacement. But the fact that you get 4 go again out of a blue that blocks 3, is really, really good. So very, very, way, way better than underwhelming Gust Wave. Uh, Absolutely phenomenal card. Is it enough to put Katsu back in the game? Absolutely not. It just isn't. Uh, this this card could be purple and it'd be worse than Bonds. I mean, it just Bonds is what made Katsu, and just because you give somebody above rate on a blue doesn't bring a hero back in. Um, you will not usually call Bonds with this. I mean, you could do Mugenchi, you could do so many things. It is a very versatile card. I'll give you that. 100%. But I don't think that the thing holding Katsu back is getting more value in the blue slot. I think in 90% of games, Katsu doesn't have a hero ability. Because there's so many D-Racks in the format. You're never going to hit new unless you want you to. And there's just Enigma. I mean, you're probably fine in that matchup anyway. You don't need this. But even Zen's gone defensive. Viserai's gone defensive. I don't know. Yeah, this card could make Katsu good after MST rotates. I agree with that. I agree with that. I think it's open the center. Pounding Gale is also. Yeah, you can name a lot of things in this card. Like I said, it'll be in every Katsu deck from here on. It's a great card. Like 9 out of 10. The problem is it's not enough to get Katsu back into the meta, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I just don't think it's enough. Especially with Ira coming up on the scene. Holy shit. Rolling Fissure. Giving what is it? Tectonic Surge vibes or whatever it is, whatever that card is. Destroy an aura with cost X or less. Okay, so it costs X+1. Then you may destroy a seismic surge you control. If you do, repeat this process. Okay. So it gives you interaction with the board, which is obviously very good. Is it enough to save Guardian? I don't think it is. It's a solid role player, but I don't think it's enough. Name Crazy Brew to make life of the party a 0 cost. That's funny. That's actually hilarious. Open the center into Flusterfist, basically adds Salt the Wound to the deck. That's true. Good card. Won't help for Enigma, but definitely good card. Yeah, I agree with Metal. It's not going to solve your Enigma problem. A lot of people will think it will. Those same people probably put 6 Summer Falls and think that, you know, they're favored into it as well. But they'll quickly learn that that's not the case. But solid card. It's a role player. If there's ever an aura that Guardians have to deal with, this will come in and out of the meta. It'll be a solid role player for sure. All right, we got a piece of equipment for the Guardians. We got some new booties. Instant destroy this, prevent the next 1 arcane damage that would be dealt to you this turn if you've controlled a seismic surge token this turn. Instead, prevent 2. It has Blade Break and not Battle Worn, which makes it a lot worse into Rune Blades. It is an alternative. It's just better Spell Void, basically, is what it is. It is better Spell Void, but I don't know if that's. You would have to be a giga aggressive Guardian to have rolling seismic surge. I mean, I could make the Kano matchup bearable. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, Metal, if I'm being honest with you. Da, da, da. Yeah, this seems just mid. Like it'll see some play, I'm sure, just for Spell Void. But I mean, it's actually worse than Spell Void because it can be responded to. Because it's an instant that's activated. It's not a replacement effect. So it's actually worse than Spell Void, depending on the circumstance. Yeah. Yeah. And Metal made a good point to where if you're ever running No Rune, it's in the boot slot and this competes with it. So it's rough. Okay, now we got the old 6 blocker. The 6 blocker. When this attacks or defends, discard a random card. I'm gonna say something a little. I'm gonna say a little bit of a hot take here. I think this card is extremely mid. Extremely mid. I know you can block down your whole hand and then block for 6 to block for, you know, 15 value. I know the possibilities. It just isn't that good. It takes what already has a lot of kind of variance and just adds to it. In a meta where everything attacks tall, like if Guardian just dominates the meta, okay. We could work with it. Yeah, I get no fear, right? I get the no fear combo as well. The problem is you now have to run another card that in KO is not a 6, right? That's an extremely high opportunity cost. And then Rhinar, great. Now you run 35 cards that are not 6s just to make this one work. No, not happening. Not happening. There's no way. In KO, cards that were not 6s were so tight that Cast Bones ended up getting cut out of the meta. And you think you're playing no fear for this? Hell no. Dominates the meta, pun intended. It was not intended, but Michael, that's the story we're gonna stick with. I like yours better. Yeah. Cool card, cool design. Competitive wise, I don't think that's it. I don't think it's it. Okay. So let's go ahead and read the new token that we have, which is marked. You are marked until the opponent hits you. Okay, so that's an important thing that we need to keep in the back of our mind as we go over these new heroes and kind of analyze. When you are marked and the opponent hits you, not deals damage, but hits, that means that damage has to be dealt in the damage calculation step of the combat chain. Okay? Hits, not deal damage. And then you lose the mark. Okay? So if you're marked multiple times, which maybe can happen, you lose all of them, is how I'm reading this. Okay? Because then you become unmarked. So let's go ahead. And the way that I want to do this is I think we need to go card into hero to better understand, which means we're going to skip weapons, right? To get a better understanding of the theme of the set, right? Because I don't want to read this and say, oh, if they're marked, well, we don't know how they're getting marked yet, right? Or how easy it is to mark them, right? Let me get caught up in chat. No Fear isn't really a good card though for KO. Yep. And then Reinhardt just can't afford another non-6. There's just no way. Nor does he have enough 6s for No Fear to actually be relevant. Block 3, 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and that's 36 easy. Meta broken. Meta broken. You just don't draw a hand next to I think the Brood card is good, but it feels like a WTR card. No spice. I mean, that's probably on purpose, right? Reinhardt card, you know? Hopefully it's relatively easy to mark heroes. That's why we have to go over that before we get into the heroes. I think that's the correct way to do it. Useful if it discards a no block card. Okay. Here we go. Let's go with the actual cards, and then we will go into the heroes and then weapons last, and then come back over the cards to kind of discuss, what are the interactions we're looking for? What are the synergies we're trying to develop? Okay. Start with the first card. Tarantula Toxin. Choose 0 cost red, block 3. Assassin, attack reaction. It's only for the Arachne in this set. Target dagger attack gets +3. Target card defending an attack with stealth gets -3. Okay. This is a good card. It says choose one or both. Wait. Why would you choose? Okay, so if anybody ever blocks a dagger. No, it says defending an attack with stealth. Why would you choose both? Attack reaction. Choose one or both. Target dagger attack gains +3. It says dagger attack, not dagger. So anything that plays with the attack power of the dagger would not last down the chain. Target card defending an attack with stealth, which is not a dagger. Does the dagger have stealth? No. Okay. It does say defending an attack with stealth. Can we give stealth to a dagger? Or a stealth keyword? Anywhere. Read the newest dagger. When this hits a hero, you may destroy this and mark them. Okay, if this is attacking a marked hero, you get +1. I still don't understand how that applies both. Is that not the token dagger? This doesn't have stealth on it. There's a newer dagger. What? Is there? Like it just hit? Oh shit. I just had to hit refresh, chat. Okay, now it makes sense. You could do both. We got there. When this attacks a marked hero, attack against go again, has stealth on it. Okay, so you can basically. Who is blocking this dagger? To stop the go again? That is so. But that's the thing. You don't even have. Okay, so the part that. Why would somebody want to block this dagger? That's what to analyze this card, right? Because this gets. Obviously, it has application in other But the one thing that makes this card like really good is the application with this dagger. Now, why would somebody want to block this dagger? When this attacks a marked hero, it gets go again. So it makes sense that the opponent would want to let this actually hit to remove the mark, because you get benefits when attacking marked heroes, right? So if you went dagger into stealth, I actually benefit by letting this hit because it removes the mark, and then you no longer get the effect on your attacks with stealth that are attacking marked heroes, right? They are at 1 HP. If they're at 1 HP, this card don't matter. It wins the game. They're somehow using toxicity reds. I think toxicity says attack action, not attack. Almost all the demi heroes trigger off of it. Okay. I wanted to do it that way. It ain't working. We're going to the heroes. And then we're going to come back, chat, because this is very, very difficult. This is very, very difficult. Okay. First, Arachne. Your attacks with stealth that are attacking a marked hero get +1 when this hits. This gets go again. Okay. So it gets the +1, which all stealth cards have the stat line of 0 cost 3. So this gives them a break point at 4, and then on hit go again, which is pretty strong. Especially if you have a lot of reactions to back it up. At the beginning of your end phase, if an opponent is marked, you become a random agent of chaos, and that is where these come in. Does this one also involve agent of chaos? Yes. The beginning of your end phase. At the beginning of your end phase. Okay, these are the same lines of text at the bottom between the two Arachnes. Your attacks with stealth. It's just a young one, of course. Duh. Jeez, guys. Okay. Yeah, I thought toxicity is attack action. Okay. So very, very solid effect. Like actually really good. It does restrict deck building a lot. Don't overlook that. Like you're all in on the stealth cards, which could not be that big of a problem. But with the need to hit and having a lot of stealth cards, the way that I look at this hero is you're basically going to take an Azuri deck. Instead of having 2 for 6s that you flash in, you're going to have reactions. But it's fundamentally the same thing. However, the on hits are going to be a little bit smaller, not like shakedown big, but like Blood Rot Pox, stuff like that. And on hit go again to go even wider, right? So very interesting. It's like a lower to the ground, more versatile Azuri that can kind of change it up a little bit. Obviously, change it up a lot. We'll go to the first Agent of Chaos. We got the Black Widow. Once per turn attack reaction, discard an Assassin card. Okay, once again, they're forcing synergies with that. That's a very important thing to distinguish. This card will literally be required to run a high number of Assassin cards. So cards like Sigil of Solace, that's a good opportunity cost that you might have to pay. But it also fixes the synergy because target assassin attack, so it can affect the dagger and stealth cards. Gets +3 if it has stealth. It gets when this hero hits banish a card from their hand. It's really good. So my favorite thing about these hero abilities, I'm assuming all of them say, yep, target +3, and then this is what changes. Yep. Okay. So all of them are the same, just this changes. Oh, they're not the same. Okay. Well, they all say discard an assassin card. Let me explain why that is so strong. Because immediately when I read this text, where my brain immediately went was you're going to have a Rune Blade problem where you're running like 25 attack reactions and 30 stealth cards. Or, yeah, it's probably not that exaggerated. However, having the agents turns any assassin card into a reaction. So you no longer have that hard deck building ratio that you have to work around. Are you going to still play some? Of course, right? Because you still have to mark, right? You can't, at the beginning of your end phase, if an opponent is marked, you become a random agent of chaos, right? So you still have to do your marking. So currently, we don't actually, there's nothing that tells us we have to play attack reactions. We just have to play assassin cards, which is a good deck building kind of ratio that's very easily workable. So now your hard ratio that you have to solve in deck building now becomes not attack react, but now stealth. How the fuck do I mark the opponent? Those are the two ratios that you now have to balance because one is taken care of for you, which is very, very, very good design, I have to admit. We'll talk about the second one, Funnel Web. Same thing, discard an assassin card. Target assassin gets +3. If it has stealth, it gets when this hits a hero, banish card from arsenal. So you got to banish from hand, banish from arsenal, both phenomenal. Seem like the straight from the rip, just seem like the premier ones to turn into. We have the Orb Weaver. This cost, that is the weapon, if I'm not mistaken. It is. Okay, it costs 1 less to activate. So you get a free swing on this, which gains a go again if they are marked, which to become this, they have to be marked. Okay, so anytime you become this is free with go again. 1 damage, go again. So automatically this transformation nets you 1 value for free. Okay. Discard an assassin card, equip that weapon token. Your next attack with stealth this turn gets +3. Okay, so all of these effects are extracting approximately 3 direct value. There's also implied value from the on hits, obviously, but direct value from discarding the assassin card, which is so on theme because stealth cards block for 3, attack for 3. This is really good design, I gotta admit. Then we have number 4. Discard an assassin card. Target assassin attack. Once again, just attack. Gets +3. If it has stealth, it gets go again. Seems good. Also, we are turning into the random agent of chaos at the end of our turn, which means we get to look at this effect and say, okay, do we need go again? Right? And then because we became this agent, we get to look at our hand and say, okay, this is what we want to do. This is what we don't want to do. Do we want to actually use this hero ability? Oh, we can't. Let's just block out. So you get that information before you have to block, which I foresee this hero's problem being how to utilize full tempo. Right? Because if you have full tempo, they're marked, whatever, boom, you turn into this one and you only have 1 stealth card. Like, you still get 3 value out of it, sure. But can you actually like leverage it? Whereas if you ever get in this blocking scenario, whatever this hero blocks with is going to be so much information in that matchup. Whenever a hero or whenever a dagger you own hits a hero, they lose one. So it's just +1. Discard an assassin card target dagger. Oh, sorry. It's +3. So if we come in with, say, this one, it pumps it to 4, but gives it 5, which makes it a one resource, uh, one resource, one card, 5 go again, which is pretty good. But you get absolutely blown out by a D-React. So not too impressed with this one. I would say it's definitely one of the weaker ones. Then we have Trapdoor, which is number 6. When you become this, you may search your deck for a card, banish it face down, then shuffle. If it's a trap, you may play it until the start of your next turn. So you get a free, and it's banished face down, so your opponent does not know it. This is interesting. So I'm assuming we do not know if you have to run all of these, right? Because if you have to run all of them as a package, like it's a requirement, uh, or else it wouldn't be that random. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to run every single one of them. In deck building, you are literally priced into at least running 3 traps in case you flip this one over. Because if you don't run any traps and you flip this one over, it was all for nothing. Like you have no hero ability for that turn. Yeah, you do have to run all. Yeah, that's a safe assumption. So that means you are literally just priced in to running 3 traps. You just are. Because if you flip this over, don't get me wrong, this is a stupid good effect too. You might be priced in to run 6. This hero ability says, hey, free card. Literally says, hey, free card. Chat, I'm a keep it a buck. I think this might be the best one. Don't get me wrong; these two are the Funnel and Black Widow. They're good. They're really good. But this one, that is good. Man, that is good. Okay. Now let's look at Syndra. Whenever you hit a marked hero, create a fealty token. We have to look at fealty. Where we at? Where we at? Where it at? Where it at? Here it is. Destroy this. Okay, so you get to choose when it's triggered, which is very important. The next card you play this turn is Draconic. Fair. At the beginning of your end phase, if you haven't created a frailty token or played a Draconic card this turn, destroy it. So you have to keep some form of momentum, either playing Draconic cards or activating or creating fealty tokens. That's fair. Okay, so if you hit a marked hero, boom, you got it, and you keep them. Once per turn, instance cost 3. Equip up to 2 Draconic daggers from your graveyard. This costs 1 less to activate for each Draconic chain link you control. Okay, getting to 3 should be super easy. So what can we do with that? We have Flick Knives possibility, right? Because you get to re-equip the daggers from the graveyard, which does not force you into playing this. 1 cost, destroy this when the combat chain closes. Attack, go again. So the reason that you run this over Kadachi's, because this is a strictly worse Kadachi, is that it's a draconic chain link, which is very, very important, right? Which also makes it very easy to activate this hero ability. So you can go weapon into weapon off of a blue, and then you play one more draconic, you get them back. Okay. So the devs are forcing her to play 2-card hands at least, right? So that's kind of her weakness is anytime she dips below 2 cards, she can't do her thing that the deck is probably designed around. If I had to guess. Also seems like a very easy deck to get to rupture. Getting the 4 chain links when you're on that that type of cycle. I'm hard pressed to determine whether this is better than Fi though. Because Fi, you essentially get the same thing. You're paying 2 resources for 3 damage, and then if you play 1, which we're assuming in the same context you were playing 1 more draconic card, then you get a Phoenix Flame. I guess the one difference is that cycle, that cost curve, forces Fi's 1 draconic card that he physically plays to be a 0 cost. Whereas Syndra can accomplish the same thing and fit in a 1 cost because she can go dagger, dagger, 1 cost, re-equip. Right? So that's the benefit. Is what is so much better that costs 1 more that it makes it better than 5? And that's the question. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying that's the burden of proof on Syndra over 5. Notably, the daggers are only destroyed when the whole combat chain closes, not the link. You have to close the chain to put them in the graveyard or destroy them mid-chain to re-equip. Oh, for every draconic chain link you control. You're right. That's a great point. So you can't do that line because they're not in the graveyard yet. I mean, that's okay. So that's actually a very interesting point. Thank you, chat, for that. So that means you're almost forced into like a 2-turn cycle, right? Where you go triple draconic. Hang on. But if you're forcing yourself in a 2-turn cycle where you go 3 draconic, re-equip, next turn weapon, weapon, so forth, then Kadachis are like just better. It does say equip up to 2, and you can flick knives 1 of them. So you can get 1 in the grave instantly and get it back. Yeah. I think you're so the deck building choice becomes either you're on a 2-turn cycle for re-equip or you're running flick knives to be like a median between. And that's like just a deck building choice. Very interesting. I'm curious to see what her cards do. Overall, I don't know how good that hero text is. I'm getting some Betsy vibes. We'll put it that way. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not gonna jump to conclusions. All right. We got good old Fang. Whenever you hit a marked hero, create a fealty token. I guess that's a good point. Is you are not. All this comes down to how easy it is to mark. How hard is it to mark? If an opponent is marked, you become a random. If you hit them after they're marked, you create a fealty token, which allows you to do this easier. Okay. Whenever you hit a marked hero, create a fealty token. If you control 3 or more of those token, dagger attacks cost 1 less to activate, and then this is the dagger in question. Once per turn, cost 1 attack. If you played a draconic card, this chain link, not combat chain, this attack gets +1 go again. So, what I can tell you straight from the get go, this hero's viability is completely determined by the ability to play. So there are some cheeky things where you can pop a fealty in play Sigil of Solace, right? Because it says the next card you play this turn is Draconic, right? So if you have a Sigil of Solace and you play this, and during that chain link, you play Sigil, popping a fealty, it gets the bonuses, right? So it's as simple as that. Is how do you effectively mark while also, because I can guarantee you the card pool to fulfill that requirement without using a fealty token is going to be dog shit. Or not dog shit, but there's not going to be a lot of them. Like, this is the one, sure. And then, like, sure, you get this one that's okay. But there's not going to be a whole lot of these, right? One, you don't want to fuck up limited. Two, they know what they're doing, right? They want to keep that balance of having to balance the tokens while using them, while getting a payoff if you have a bunch. Okay, so everybody needs to mark and hit. Well, actually, they don't need to hit. Nobody needs. Okay, they need to hit to create fealty tokens. Arachne does not need to hit, but needs you to be marked to get bonus effects. But the effects allow you. Yeah. But if you're not hitting with Arachne, you're losing. He does need to hit. It's not even Draconic. Oh, that's horrible. Okay, yeah. Then it's literally just that one, probably. I'm just guessing. We'll see. We'll go through the cards now. Okay. So first thing we need to figure out is how hard is it to mark? That's the most important part. Oh, and here's the other dagger. When this hits a hero, you may choose to destroy this and mark them. If that's so expensive to do that, though. So you either do this or you do this because, you're not going to blow this up if they're already marked, getting +1. Okay. Although the dagger could hit them, removing the mark, and then you can destroy it to remark. That makes sense, right? Because you would choose, as the active turn player, you would choose the resolving order, and you would choose for the mark to resolve, then this. If it's a hero, you may destroy this and mark them. So The unique thing about this dagger is it has the ability to hit them and not ruin the mark, is my analysis of it. Everything is draconic because of fealty. I mean, that is true, but at the same time, his whole mechanic is to bank a bunch of them, right? So I agree with you, but it's gonna be hard to kind of like extract the value, right? If you're depending on what these cards say. Okay, Defang the Dragon, 0 cost, stealth assassin card. Contract, you are contracted to hit a marked hero named Fang. Whenever you complete this contract, draw a card. This is a limited ass card if I ever saw one. Same thing for Syndra. Okay, they're just limited cards. I mean, it could be like sideboard tech, sure, but like this is like giga limited tech. Um, Blood runs deep. This cost 1 less to play for each draconic chain link you control. Okay. 2 cost, 2 go again, 3 block at least. When this attacks a hero, each dagger you control, okay, deals 1 damage to them. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger has hit. That's insane. So this is 2 go again, 4 go again. Get 2 fealty tokens. Right? Whenever you hit, no, you have to mark them. You wouldn't get 2. Okay. It would be 1 because, yeah, because they would resolve in order. The first one would hit a marked hero, the mark would resolve, then the second one would hit. Or it probably just deals all the damage at once. So this creates a fealty token, which is nice, and you get to re-equip the daggers. So this is a way to kind of get around what we talked about in chat a little bit earlier. Yep. And it's a 0 go again most of the time. And guess what, chat? You can pummel this bitch. Hell yeah, you can. What a giga Chad. To pummel in a ninja deck, bro. Could you imagine CNC pummel? No. 2 go again pummel. 3 go again, non-preventable pummel. Trigger on Shuko. Let's go. I'm memeing, by the way. Please don't put pummel in your Syndra deck. Art of the Dragon Blood. 0 cost, 4, 3, no go again. When this attacks, if it is draconic, it gets go again. And the next 3 draconic cards you play this turn cost 1 less to play. Huh. Okay. He says draconic cards. Okay. Once again, I mentioned that the cost curve supports 1 cost cards. And this is leaning toward making that more viable. So this could be a very 1 cost oriented deck, which means if you're interested in playing this hero, maybe pick up a Blood of Drakai. Although, nah, that doesn't seem worth it. I would not run a red no block just to maybe get an extra resource. No shot. Scratch that. But this scene, it says a good stat line, and all you need to get go again is make it draconic, which is going to force your fealty token. But other than that, it's got a solid stat line. You're not priced into doing that play because it blocks 3. I love this card. It's just very versatile. There's a lot of cards that I've seen that like have this type of design behind them, but there's like a shitty aspect. Like Cadaverous Tilling is a good example where it's got a good stat line, 8. It decomposes, it's earth, it does everything, but it blocks 2. So every time you draw it, you are literally priced into playing it because you get such shit value if you don't. So this is I really like this card because it does not force you into that. You said Syndrome might still play. Yeah, of course she will. 100% she will. Absolutely. All right, so we're still in the ninja cards. 1 cost. Here we go. We're back on the ones. So 153, the good old bingo stat line. When this attacks, if it is draconic, it gets when this hero hits, destroy all cards in arsenal. I'm assuming we have another 1 cost. Deal 2 damage to any target that could be relevant. Not right now, but I mean that's still 1 for 5 that could be 7 is okay. So the theory was correct. We actually kind of guessed this off of the Phi comparison that she was going to incorporate a lot more 1 cost to kind of fit the curve. It's really good. When this attacks, if it is draconic, it gets when this hits a hero, put a -1 counter on equipment they control. Then if it has 0 block, destroy it. These are some very good on hits that are statted really well. Like really, really well. God, it's gonna be the most disgusting tunic deck on the planet. You just have a fealty sitting there and you know it's gonna get burned. You just tunic counter play that. Like Jesus Christ. Whew. Although, and that's the thing, you're not even like I have to run a shit ton of blues because they block 3. Every one of them blocks 3. So, I'm assuming that's all the ninja cards. It is so far. Hero ability, kind of mid. All these cards seem pretty fucking good. And let's talk about this Mulan art. Love it. Love it. I'm a huge fan of Mulan. Actually, like really good art. Really good. They're rare. They come in rainbow. I don't know if you're gonna play the other colors. Like blue, definitely not because it doesn't have a breakpoint. But yeah, and limited, these are gonna be insane. Holy shit. Okay. Long whisker. So now we're going into the warrior cards. Very important. We get caught up in chat. Pummelable Shuko target. That's it. Syndra was the new guardian we needed all along. That's what I'm saying. You tired of playing against Enigma? Play a ninja that can pummel. I feel like Brand is a must-have in the new Draconic hero. Am I not mistaken that Brand with Cinderclaw is a Draconic ninja card, not a Draconic card? Is that correct? Brand? Yeah, it's a ninja card, so Fang can't play it. That is true. Not every rare card is rainbow. That is especially in this thematically themed set. Uprising had a lot of cards that were just reds. A ton of cards. Anyway, let's roll into the warrior. Let's do a little refresher on the hero ability. Same line up top, but if you control through, so we're trying to bank these tokens to make the daggers free, which allow us to then, once we've banked them, We then have the ability to pop them all to play cards as reactions in instances while the daggers are on the chain link to get the extra effects. So that's what we're actively trying to do. And we're trying to do this for free. Okay? Very important. Now, this one is draconic, like Metal mentioned. So already off to a good start. You do not have to waste a token on this. So already seems like a strong card. Blocks 3, 0 cost. Right where we want to be. For each draconic chain link you control, choose one. Okay, so on the first dagger, this card probably sucks. And then the second one and further. Okay. So it incentivizes you to lead with an attack to then dagger is the important part. And that's probably how Fang's gonna play regardless. Because starting your turn, say the hero is marked, hitting them with an attack allows you to you don't have to we're probably stuck in this mindset that you have to start your turn with the daggers. I think more times than not, Fang's probably going to end his turn with the daggers, depending on the go again package, right? That's what it's ultimately dependent on. Uh, but we'll keep going. Target dagger gets +2. Okay, so we're forced into daggers with this card. Very important. Also, I think we're just forced into daggers regardless. Yep, he says dagger right there. One thing to note that I'm starting to notice in Flesh and Blood is interacting with different weapons from older sets is becoming impossible. Um, you know, like we're not getting a whole lot of weapons that are usable by the other heroes. From the new set, right? Like none of the ninjas can use Kakara, right? Effectively, and so forth. Like it's a very very strong theme that they're making. They're tying weapons to hero identity, which is a good or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. I have no preference personally. Yeah, the new heroes can use the old weapons, but none of the old heroes can use the new weapons. That's how it works. Okay. You may attack with target dagger again an additional time next time. Okay, so it's blood on our hands. Okay, gotcha. In reactions. Cool. This shit seems kind of good. I just gonna throw that out there. Yeah. For each draconic chain link you control. So to maximize the value on this target, you have to accumulate 3 draconic chain links. Actually, you only need 2. Then you attack with 1 dagger. Yeah, it's 2, then 1 dagger. You get all modes because the dagger is the third. You get all 3 modes on that dagger. Okay, so that's the ideal play line is Draconic Chain Link, dagger, play this. Okay, which means, or you could even go attack dagger, but then you would have to have something to play on it into dagger this. Okay, so there's a couple options there, which makes it a little bit difficult to layer the deck, probably. But really good card, 100%. We all know Jagged Edge and what it's for. It's self-explanatory. It's very, very unfortunate that this card uh, cost 1. I understand why they did it. It's the cost curve, out for blood, stroke of foresight. Any non-conditional 3 pump always cost 1. Just is what it is. I know a lot of people would prefer this to be 0, but you know, is what it is. When this card was revealed, I had 13 people tell me it was broken. I think it's a slightly above average, personally. 1 cost, blue, 3 block, reaction, warrior. Provoke. If you're attacking with a weapon this chain link, the defending hero reveals a card from their hand. One card reveals it. Okay, so they get to pick. Don't look into their hand. If it's an action card, add it to the chain link as a defending card. So if you're playing against anybody that has non-action cards, they're going to show it to you. Okay, which means you actively played this card to get, well, otherwise they discard it. Okay, so they could, you either block with it or discard it. So you're forcing them to lose one card. However, you're losing a card in the process. You're forcing reprise, but you're down a net. It's still a losing proposition, right? Like, use the baseline Dawn Blade, right? Let's say you have a Dawn Blade coming in for 6 due to Warrior's Valor, and they say no blocks. Play Provoke. They block with a card. They're still getting the block value from that card. And you're always getting the worst card in their hand because they're choosing it. So you're allowing them to extract defensive value from the worst card in their hand. And to do that, you are actively losing a card and a resource. I think it's good for a blue, but if it wasn't a blue, this card would be trash. I think this card is like 10% better than Emboldened Blade. That's where I think this card's at. Even if you pair it with Glint, like, then you spin a whole card to guarantee go again? Spend a card and a resource? This prevents opponents from playing 5-card hands, yes, by you taking more damage because you couldn't block with this card. And then also, this card will get you fucked up by a sink blow. Because if you're attacking, you still have to get over, right? So you're forcing the block and you still have to get over. So if you attack for 3, you force them to block, and then you pump by a little bit, and then they sink below, you are fucked. Like, actually. This is a dangerous card. I could be wrong, but this is a dollar majestic if I've ever seen one. That's my final verdict. The card is funny with Decimator. However, it doesn't fit the cost curve, so it's pretty bad. But you can always tunic it, I guess. That's so cap. Okay, agility stance. So we already know we're talking go again here. 3 block yellow, 0 cost. At the start of your turn, destroy this. Your dagger attacks get go again this turn. What? Okay. Okay. Hang on. Hang on. It has go again, so you're not giving up your action point, thank God. But you're using a whole card to give 2 daggers Kadachi tax. A whole card. Because if you were resolving the effect on this card, it's going to give itself fucking go again. So you are giving him go again to gain the ability to go Kadachi. What? This card is mid as fuck, even if his hero ability's on. Because it just means you get to go Kadachi for free, but it costs you a whole card to do it, and you don't have the one resource left over like a ninja does. Am I missing something, chat? If you can swing multiple times with the daggers, this could be decent. I mean, sure, it's better with this, but there's no way you are playing this card just to do this more. There's no shot. There has to be card for this to make sense. There has to be a bunch of cards that say like daggers this turn get plus whatever. And you can like double stance and shit like that. Let's keep going. That is either dog shit or I'm missing something, and I'm giving them the benefit that I'm just missing something. Plain and simple. I understand it's an aura that popped next turn. I get that, but I'm just doing the math, and it ain't mathing. Flurry stance. Okay, it's the same thing, just red. At the start of your turn, destroy this. Then you may attack with each dagger you control an additional time this turn. Okay, that okay. Maybe this is okay. What the fuck is happening? Yeah, the pieces are at the start of your turn. Destroy this. Then you're okay. Are you just stancing? Okay, let's do some math, chat. Let's assume the hero ability's turned on, right? Which is quite the assumption, chat. Let's not understate that. Quite the assumption. Hero ability turned on. Okay. We resolve one of each, which I'm assuming mathematically is the best combination. Yeah, it has to be. So you get to swing this twice with go again at +1. Okay, and we're assuming they're free. Okay? You played one of each. As a 3-card investment. You get to swing them 2 times each. So that's 4 swings for 2 damage equals 8. That's a 3-card 8. Which means, chat. Oh no. Oh no, Josh is going to be pissed. Josh is going to be so pissed. They done made Warriors suck again. Ain't no way. Josh is gonna be pissed. All right, chat. These cards ain't it. Mathematically, they unless there's more cards that like. But like the problem is it's a linear scale. There's nothing exponential about it until you double flurry or double power. That is the only way you begin to approach exponential scaling versus linear scaling. But then you're talking about a very specific 4-card hand that you drew all at one fucking time. You still have 4 cards in hand. I get that, but that doesn't change the fact that you made you took an assload of damage. And that's a great point in chat. You have 4 random fucking cards in your hand that could have nothing to do with your daggers. Like Oh, and hold up, hold up. If we go to the text of Fealty, at the beginning of your end phase, if you have not created a token or played a draconic card, these are not draconic cards, and you have not hit to create them. Which means for our theoretical 3-card 8, you have to you have to make a Fealty token or play another draconic card. So it's actually a 4-card combo, not just a 3-card combo. Oath of Steel makes sense. That does make sense because every time you attack, you get plus. Okay, this says target dagger attack, not target dagger. So this does not scale infinitely. I've played Combo Warrior. Oath of Steel is the only thing that scales these cards. And you cannot. I mean, like. You have to have all. These have to happen in combination, but then this one's only good if this one's here, which requires this one, which means they're literally only good in the set. If you can Fealty into a Blade Fury, then the turn is a 4-card 16. Or you could just Transcend instead of having a very specific 4-card combo. I'm just saying. There has to be a bigger piece because this on the surface, I mean, if I was picking cards to spoil early, these ain't it. Because I'm dooming and glooming on this hero. Oh man, I'm dooming and glooming. Oath of Steel is like the only thing that makes sense in regards to these. Okay, moving on. For the Drakai, when this attacks a marked hero, create a Fealty token, which is really good because it's unconditional, right? It doesn't have to hit. You're just creating it as long as they are marked. We still ain't figured out how to fucking mark people. We don't have any. Holy shit! We found our one way to mark. There's no way that this is the only card. This marks. This does not mark. It gains a benefit from mark. So we have 2 cards that mark. Do you mark? If you are marked, you can't play this. If the attacking hero is okay, it does not. None of this marks. None of it. Whenever you hit a marked hero. This marks. So we have seen 3 cards exactly that actively mark the opponent. So we have no clue how easy that is. Because this is dog shit. If this is the main way to mark, I'm staying in MST. I'm assuming it's not. I'm this looks like a limited card. So I'm giving them the benefit there. Um, yeah, there's only 3 cards that mark. This, this if the dagger hits, and then this dagger are the 3 ways to mark. Everything gets a bonus if they're marked. But those are the only way currently that we've seen to mark. Which is where our analysis has to come to a close, unfortunately. Because I mean, we have an idea on the cost curve for Syndra. That's a great starting point. The 1/1 and then 1 cost attack action, which is kind of built into the spoiler. We have shit scaling stances until something else comes out. Man, Josh is pissed. I mean, these are cool, but they're just draconic. These cards, I'm so lost on this one, chat. I'm gonna read them all one more time. Make sure I'm not missing anything. At the start of your turn, it's the aura thing. Okay, destroy this. Your dagger attacks. Each dagger additional time. Your dagger attacks. So they attack 4 times for 2 damage because you're not fulfilling this, or you didn't need this in the first place, and there's no way you're playing 4 fucking draconic things. Which is a 3 card 8. Oh, that's so bad. Are they gonna come in rainbow? They will not, because they've been parsed out by color already. And also, the way that you know that is there's no scaling quantity, right? So you may attack with an additional dagger each turn. They couldn't say the blue one attacks for one of your 3 daggers, right? They can't scale it down. So these will not come in different colors. So these are it for these. But man, I hope something comes out that just like flips this on its head. Cause right now, what do I think of Jagged Edge? If you think this is what Warrior needed to beat Enigma, then you think you're the same person that thinks this is what Guardian needed to beat Enigma. That's what I think about that card. Is it a solid card? Of course. Is it at all solve the problem? And is it 2 sets late? Yes, it is. Will it help? Sure. Sure. Your win percentage might go from 10 to 20%, but it's probably going to stop there. It's funny in Syndra when you make new daggers. I'm dead. These cards, unless there is like a bajillion cards like Oath of, because if it's just Oath of Steel, there's no way you run these shitty cards to like it's not Lumina levels of good where you run, the 2 combo pieces and wait, and hell, you can even tutor Lumina with Beacon and shit. So like that, comparing that to that is like, it's actually embarrassing. Um maybe I'm missing something because it's just Warrior. Maybe there's like the only Warrior dagger that they have access to is Quicksilver dagger, right? I don't know. This looks like limited. I don't know. I don't see it, chat. I really don't. Do you think LSS hates Warrior? I'm not gonna say that, but Josh has made a good point before that if you think of a format where Warrior literally dominates, especially like a heavy reaction based Warrior, I don't think it would be a great place to be. Um and to be honest, I don't think that could ever happen because then everybody just runs a bunch of D reacts. And then so you create this meta where you're just forced into playing the same 15D reacts to combat that. So I guess Illusionist is no different. But yeah, its purpose is to give us copium. I don't. Yeah, that those cards are wild and not in the good way. Not in the good way. Because this says, hang on. The effect even says this attack, not this dagger. So it doesn't like compound. Once again, the devs made a very careful distinction that you are not supposed to be able to scale this exponentially, which is probably good design, but the net result of that is there's got to be more to the story. We're going to revisit this after spoilers. Do you think Syndra will auto be better than Fi just as Royal and Tome? No. No. I actually have a hot take that will be reversed. Hot take, but I think Fi will be the default choice. Heavy meta pre-KO armory deck was my favorite fab. Yeah, but Hatch's Dory wasn't like super attack reaction based, right? Something to look at is past Draconic card, like Upright. There's not anything that's helping this. Pull up everything that says dagger. Your daggers gain +1 this turn. So you cannot, but that's the same thing as just having that other card. And it happened. So I guess you could like pitch stack a we're reaching here. You could pitch stack a 1 turn all stance, then next turn knives out and go dagger for 5 4 times. That's not even that good. That's only like 20 damage. That's like a chase the tail turn. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't see it, chat. I don't see it. This card's gonna be really good. This card right here, I'm telling you right now, if you don't have copies of this card and you're planning on playing one of the two Draconic Heroes, this is an all-star. Yeah, all this is just is there a hyphen in there? What? Like one-handed weapon, right? Oh, they use one H. Mm, mm, there's Oath of Steel. Whenever you attack with a weapon this turn, put +1 counter. Sure. Yep. That works. But another weapon you control has gained go again this turn. So the good thing about this dagger is it's a separate warrior archetype, but this does allow you to skip the agility stance, which is the worst one. So you just need a way to give the dagger go again, and then your go agains are taken care of if you have double Quicksilver. All these other cards, though, they ain't doing it. There's nothing here, chat. You can give them piercing 3. Oh god. Yeah. That's it. Those two cards. Oath of Steel. So bad. Oath of Steel and Quicksilver Dagger support is all that I can wrap my head around. Other than it just being a limited card. You attack with the same Draconic Dagger twice, you have 2 Draconic Chain Links. But yes, that is correct. The same dagger can create more than one chain link. The real question is who cares? Like, there's no payoff in the current game of Flesh and Blood that makes that play sequence a good idea. Currently, they might change that. Hope they do. So, my current analysis is that the Arachne deck building is very interesting because you're not locked into a standard attack action deck building decision. Instead, it is going to be a marked, how to mark them and then assassin card pool, heavily weighted toward the assassin. Probably something in the ballpark of like 40-20 is where I would start the deck building process. 40 assassin cards and then 20 cards that help mark the opponent. And then obviously you'll have some overlap there. Syndra, we were able to kind of identify that she was probably going to be on a dagger 1 cost curve, which was supported by the other ninja cards that were released. Also, this one kind of allows you to play more of those. She is going to. It is undecided whether she's going to be on a 2-turn cycle to re-equip or a only bring back 1 every turn from Flick Knives kind of situation, because you have to control the chain. Once you break the chain, it's no longer free, and you have to put the daggers in the graveyard. So there's no way to do that. Unless there's a way where you can like conceal blade. Okay. Attack action card. When it hits, equip a dagger from your inventory. Now, for those of you who don't know, what if the play is to play 2 more in your sideboard? Chat. You can you run 4 copies of the dagger? Is that legal? Yeah, because it's a token. You destroy the daggers, 2 go in the graveyard. You concealed blade them back into the zones, and then now you have 2 that are in, 2 that are out, and you rotate. Only 3. So you could do it. That does help a little bit. That turns it from a off turn go, off turn go, off turn go cycle to a flick knives 1 turn for the free value into okay. Concealed blade is kind of hot, majestic. If it's super cheap, I'd pick up a set. I'm not saying it's worth it, but it's a blue 3-block reaction that can be filtered on the dagger to make it even more like. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Worth an idea. Worth an idea. Well, I guess Fang's the one that cares about it being on the dagger, so that part's kind of pointless. But the fact that you could just add this to anyone and it's a 3-block blue, opportunity cost pretty low. So I do like the idea of doing something like that to help with the rotation. We'll see. We will see. Interesting thought though. And then Fang, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't know what the fuck's going on. These cards literally made me have a software update. I mean, I blue screened and everything when I read these cards. Don't make any fucking sense. Shit value. Linear scaling. This one was mid. We know this isn't going to fix Enigma. And this card is busted. But like the rest of it, we don't have enough information. I don't know what to tell you. Also, Melting Point casually smashing Fang. Yeah, it Melting Point, if you if you play Ranger and you don't have your copies, I'd go ahead and get them. Hasn't been super cheap since calling Portland when they showed hero text. It makes sense. Taylor says Fang busted. He win the next event with Fang. I hope he does. It ain't gonna be with these cards. I'll tell you that much. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. All I'm gonna say is I'm a doubter right now, but I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us, chat. That was God, those stances. I still can't get over it. I can't. I really can't. Just threw me for a loop. Don't make any sense. Um Maybe I'm thinking too much about it, but anyway, I just want to thank everybody for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. And if you came up and said something at Atlanta, thank you so much. If you played a game with me, thank you so much for being a great opponent. I didn't have a single bad experience in Atlanta, nothing but good. And yeah, I'm super excited for the new set. I'm excited for Memphis double calling in one weekend. Really excited on how that plays out, whether they're doing limited first or classic instructed first. Um, really, really curious how that's going to pan out. It'll be an explosive weekend as far as attendance goes because the value of going one weekend, two callings, right? In case day one does not work out. But super excited. I don't know when RTN season starts exactly. I believe it's right after the set release. Good luck to anybody in Canada at the Battle Hardened this weekend. Wish you the best of luck. Got a lot of people there. I'll watch it for sure. Hopefully, I'll see some good games. Also, Josh, I, and some of the other teammates are commentating the Hong Kong Battle Hardened that just happened, and we're going to release that on the channel hopefully soon. So keep an eye out for that as well. Some really good games happened, and everybody knows there's really strong players there, obviously. Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining me, and I'll see everybody next week. Thanks and take care.